Most people are afraid of debt. They're told it's dangerous, stressful, financially destructive. And for most people, that's true. But here's the uncomfortable reality. The rich don't avoid debt. They use it every day. In fact, debt is one of the most powerful tools the wealthy use to multiply their money. So the question isn't, is debt bad? The real question is, why does debt make the poor poorer, but make the rich richer? There are two completely different worlds of debt. The first world is consumer debt, credit cards, car loans, personal loans, financing vacations, buying things that lose value. This kind of debt drains your income. It requires you to work more, just to stay in the same place. It produces nothing. It consumes. That's the debt most people know, and because that's all they see, they assume all debt is bad. But the wealthy operate in a second world, productive debt. Debt used to acquire assets, assets that generate income, assets that increase in value, assets that create tax advantages. That is an entirely different game. Leverage is the core principle. Leverage means using borrowed money to control a larger asset. Let's break it down. Imagine you have $100,000. You could buy a $100,000 property in cash. Or you could use that $100,000 as a down payment on a $500,000 property. The bank lends you the other $400,000. Now, if that property increases by 10% in value, it's worth $550,000. That's a $50,000 increase. If you paid cash, you would have earned $10,000 on a $100,000 property. But because you used leverage, you made $50,000 on your $100,000 investment. That's a 50% return. Leverage magnifies gains. But here's the part most people miss. The wealthy don't rely on appreciation alone. They structure deals so the asset pays for the debt. The rich don't just borrow to speculate. They borrow to acquire cash-flowing assets, rental properties, businesses, commercial real estate, dividend-producing stocks. The goal is simple. The asset generates more income than the debt costs. If a property produces $4,000 per month and the mortgage costs $2,500, the debt is being paid down by the asset, not by your paycheck. Over time, tenants reduce the loan balance. The property increases in value. Rent rises with inflation. The debt shrinks. The asset grows. And the owner builds equity without using personal income. That is strategic debt. Banks do not fear debt. Banks are built on debt. They lend to those who have assets, have income streams, have collateral. The wealthy understand this relationship. They build strong credit. They acquire appreciating assets. They become low-risk borrowers. And then, they borrow at low interest rates to invest in higher return opportunities. If they borrow at 4% and invest at 10%, they profit from the spread. This is how financial institutions operate, and the wealthy learn to operate the same way. Here's something rarely discussed. Inflation actually benefits borrowers. If you lock in a 30-year mortgage today, that payment stays the same. But inflation causes rents to rise, asset prices to rise, wages to rise. Over time, your fixed debt becomes cheaper in real terms. You repay the loan with dollars that are worth less than when you borrowed them. Meanwhile, the asset has likely increased in value. The wealthy understand this dynamic. They use long-term fixed debt as a hedge against inflation. Most people fear debt because they associate it with stress, and uncontrolled debt is stressful. But strategic debt is calculated. The wealthy ask different questions. They don't ask, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" They ask, "Will this asset produce more than it costs? Does this create long-term leverage? Does this increase my net worth?" Debt isn't emotional for them. It's mathematical. It's structured. It's intentional. Debt is not the enemy. Uncontrolled consumption is. Buying liabilities with borrowed money is financial quicksand. But borrowing to acquire income-producing assets is financial acceleration. The same tool. Two completely different outcomes. The difference is knowledge. The difference is discipline. The difference is intent. The wealthy don't use debt to look rich. They use debt to become rich. They leverage assets. They control larger opportunities. They let investments pay down loans. They allow time and inflation to work in their favor. Debt, when used strategically, is not a burden. It's a multiplier. The system rewards ownership, and ownership often requires leverage. This isn't about taking reckless risks. It's about understanding the rules that were never fully explained. The rich don't avoid debt. They master it. And now, you understand why.